It's teens time. This is a new season and it's actually a new year. So this is me saying Happy New Year to all of us. It's teens time. My name is Auntie Chichi and this is where we get to talk about everything that has to do with teenagers, young adults, and also parents are not left out. We talk about the family, we talk about relationship, we talk about everything. I mean everything. All is encompassing. We are here to inspire the teenagers, the young adults, to inform them, to help them make the right choices, to do the right things. And the parents also to know how to parent their teenagers. So this show is, a family show where I want you to sit tight. Nobody should turn the dial. Don't change the dial. And I also want to say we have to keep praying for Nigeria. This is election year. Believe me, everything is going to work out in the end. Believe in Nigeria. We're not going to give up in Nigeria. I won't give up. This is my country. We don't have another place to go. So don't give up. So before we get into the show for this week, I want you to stay put. I'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still Teens Time, and this is where we get to talk about everything that has to do with teenagers, young adults, and also parents. And on today's show, we have someone that is not, he's used to the camera, but behind the camera, but he's here because he is working with teenagers. He's a teen coach like me, and he has an inspiring story. I mean, very inspiring. I'm so honored to have him here to talk to, especially for me, especially the boys, because I feel, a lot of people are just bent on talking to the girls, but I know that your story is going to inspire a lot of our boys. I have, you're a pastor, so should I call Pastor Timmy? Okay, when you're working with teenagers, you're Timmy Pudier. I got it.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being on Teens Time. Thank you. So let me, you are an award-winning filmmaker, and most of your films are, revolves around teenagers. Tell me a little bit about it.
Okay. Because generally, I do what I do because I've always loved telling stories, and then being inspired to tell stories that address issues, social issues, and all of that. So,
okay.
One of the first feature films I did was in 2014.
Okay.
It was titled "I Am the Future."
Okay.
It was about examination malpractice.
Wow.
The whole concept basically was we were discussing and we saw, even though nobody wants to talk about it in a bigger scale, we know what exam malpractice is doing to our society.
Absolutely.
We're raising a generation with a lot of certificates but no knowledge.
True.
So
True.
we decided to just, in our little way, address it. Make a film, just put it out there to teenagers and let them realize you have a choice with this thing called malpractice.
True.
It can't be forced down your throat.
True.
And even if you support it, just remember that the consequence is going to come in some way.
Yeah, absolutely.
We use it to raise issues like the fact that imagine a world where you have a best friend in secondary school who paid his way through JSS, through WAEC, through JAMB.
To university.
You guys part ways for many years. He says he wants to be a doctor, you wanted to be an engineer, and then 20 years later, your child is sick, needs life-saving surgery. Show up in the hospital.
I know where he's going to end.
And your guy shows up as a doctor to operate your child.
And he paid his way through.
You know his history.
Yeah.
How glad will you be to allow him
True.
operate on your child?
True.
Now, when we start to look at it like that, we realize the dialogue changes.
True.
Because suddenly, a lot of us go through that all the time. You go to hospitals, you bring engineers to work.
And we've heard stories where, people died on the table.
I'm telling you.
Because they had the quack.
Quack. So we've used the word quack doctors, quack engineers, quack, but until it touches you,
True.
you really don't feel it.
Absolutely.
People have died because of, sometimes it's not even carelessness, they really don't know. Because they went through school, but they didn't learn. So I did the movie because we wanted to just put it out there and let it. And my goal was, let's start the conversation and hope that people will continue it and all of that. We still plan to do even another documentary as a follow-up on that because I feel the conversation still needs to go on.
Yeah, because it's something that's prevalent, is there. Okay, enough of the movies. Because I know you've done a couple of other movies.
Yes.
And you are here to also do more.
Yes.
You are from Ghana.
I'm actually Nigerian, full Nigerian,
Nigerian. Okay,
but I
Nigerian.
live in Accra for now.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm a worry boy.
Oh, okay,
Even
okay.
though they tell me I've lost my street credibility. I don't sound like one anymore.
You don't sound, yeah, you sound more like, I mean, even the English is sometimes you.
I guess they're influencing me.
Work and all that.
They're influencing me now. So, yeah.
Okay, so tell me, you made a lot of mistakes as a teenager. Can we know a little bit about them? Maybe one or two, not so much.
Okay, plenty, but I think top of it all was probably the fact that I got into university at 18,
Okay.
and then I had to run away, go to another university at 19,
Why? You got into trouble.
and the same trouble that chased me from the first caught up with me in the second. Basically, I got into school and I got involved with a cult.
Okay.
So I first got into Uniben, and then, long story short, literally had to run away from my life, and I got to Ekpoma, and barely months I was involved in another cult again. Now the issue was this: I knew, and this is what I tell teenagers, which is why for me mentoring is very important. By the time I was 15, I was in SS2. I already knew I was going to join a cult.
Wow.
And the main reason was simple. I remember we had this senior in my school then who left when we were in GS3.
Okay.
And then he came to visit when we were in SS2. And you know how boys on camp in secondary school then,
Yeah.
you have this senior that you look up to, and he was like our model for a bad guy, you know,
Wow.
and we liked him. And then he comes back when we were in SS2, and whilst talking with us, he started fanning himself with the shirt, and immediately he pulled the shirt up, we noticed he had a gun. And
Wow.
crazy for boys, it was like, whoa.
Wow.
Now, all of us wanted to be like
him.
The crazy thing is, fast forward about 8 years or so later, all of us that were there with him that day, and I mean all the boys that were with him that day from my class, we got into university somewhere in Ekpoma, Uniben, Auchi. Everybody there joined the cult.
Wow.
And all of us joined the same cult that he was in.
Wow.
Now,
wow. Wrong mentorship.
Wrong, that was it. And so it wasn't like we didn't want to be told.
You were already okay. You couldn't wait until
do
you
it
get
for
it.
ourselves.
Wow.
And yeah, and I tell most teenagers that the crazy thing about joining the cult for me then was, it was a few minutes after initiation when the number one man came to give the welcome address. That was when I knew I'd made a mistake.
Are you serious? They would just say welcome to that's when your problems will start.
What you were told before you were going in, it sounds so nice. I think that's the part people miss most times.
Okay.
When they tell young boys about cultism, the picture is not painted well, like, oh, someone forced you this, forced you that. I often tell people, stop telling me that rubbish.
Because you were not forced.
Most times what you call force is someone playing on someone's desires.
Yes, sadly.
You like something, and then someone comes and tells you, look, you be one of us. This person can't talk to you anyhow. This person can, this lecturer, this is. Suddenly you begin to smell power.
Exactly. So let me ask another question. You said, this is fueled by someone's desires.
Yep.
So that means, young people, you got in at 18, and you said at 15 you were already sure you were going to.
I was very sure.
What do you think is what fuels that at that young age?
That's why it takes me back to the issue of mentoring again now. Who are you looking up to? Most times the adults around don't pay attention to the things that excite kids.
Absolutely.
Now at 15, I was living on what you today will call gangster movies.
Wow.
I remember there was a movie in the 90s called Juice, which starred Tupac Shakur and Omar Epps, and it was all this gang thing, menace to society. But it was about the time when, as of that time, there was a revolution in the black American film industry. They were telling their gang stories, and I literally was living on those. And most of our friends, that was it.
And even your parents, I mean, they
didn't even know.
They didn't see it as any big.
It was also part of what gave birth to a certain buzz of basketball in our own part of the country. Then everybody was playing football, but it was the African American movies that sold basketball to us.
So it's the things that we surround ourselves. Okay.
I ended up having a court in my compound, so my guys would come. So it was like we were trying to capture that life for ourselves.
So you were the it boy.
Yes, so it was just there, but nobody around, none of the adults around saw anything to it. So it's right today. I'm quick to always remind teenagers that the things you people have today, we didn't have people in our days who were loving and concerned enough and knowledgeable enough to see that this is leading to this, is leading to that. So that was it. At that age, it wasn't really like, oh, we were bad people. It was more of, it was exciting. But nobody could tell you why this is not the way. Why this, see, no one tells you this road could mean your story ends at 20.
But is it that sometimes they don't want to hurt your feelings, or they don't just even know that it's
I don't think it's about that. I think, number one, it's ignorance.
Okay.
People just don't know, number one.
Okay.
And then two,
I mean the adults.
Yes, they just don't know, number one.
Okay.
Two, they're too busy with their own life.
Okay.
To be bothered.
I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts. We'll go on a short break. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
Introducing new Always Cotton Soft. Its unique top sheet is as soft as cotton and gentle to your skin, offering you comfortable protection as you go about your day. New Always Cotton Soft, available in long and extra long for 250 naira only.
Welcome back. This is still Teens Time, and I've been having fun listening to Mr. Pastor. Anyone that we can take out from it today? Timi Pudier, filmmaker, photographer. He does a lot with teenagers. He's also a teenage coach like me, and we've been talking about the mentors that a lot of teenagers are exposed to, or exposed to, and even our environment, and his story about getting into cultism. He has lots of stories about some mistakes that he has made, but we don't have a lot of time, so we're just going to deal with this. I want to ask you, do you think, sometimes I do think that way, but a couple of times people will say, no, don't keep blaming parents for the mistakes their teenagers are making or their children are making. Do you think our parents are, I don't want to use the word ignorance. You've said it, that some of them are ignorant, some of them are too engrossed with their work. But do you think a lot of our parents are not prepared in parenting their teenagers? People will say, okay, nobody taught you how to, get married. But a lot of people are doing a lot of job trying to teach people how to, be happy in marriage and all that. But I'm not sure a lot of people are doing much on parenting. So there is no a blueprint. So do you think parenting is the major issue why we are losing a lot of our teenagers to cultism, drug addiction, and so many social vices that we have, that are, out there?
Well, I think the parents of today are the ones who will be held even more accountable, because 20, 30 years ago, a lot of the information available today were not available.
Absolutely.
If you're a mom today, before you even become a mom, even if you don't go to a library or on the internet, there are tons and tons of information, which was not there in the 90s and the 80s.
True.
So, yeah, but life, even at that time, there were still standards, there were still ways of doing it. So which takes me to what I said initially, that it's either nonchalance based on ignorance, or people were just too busy with their own lives. And for example, there was a time when in our society it became trendy to have helps by most parents raise their kids.
Yes.
But now we've gone full cycle. Most moms now, new moms, I will take care of my child. Thank God for some things you've seen on the internet.
True. Well, it's not easy. Like, I have 4.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times...
It's challenging.
It's challenging, but yeah, I agree.
You realize even when you are very busy,
True.
because of the circumstances we've come to discover,
depend on them.
you still find ways to be accountable for them.
Absolutely.
So you know what goes on in their life. You are involved.
So invariably, you're saying being very busy is not an excuse.
No, it's not. It's not. In today's world, it's not, because the choice of what may come out of your being too busy might be too expensive for you in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you may, some people say, oh, I'm busy making the money to take care of them. When I learned years ago, when I first discovered this thing about love languages and kids and all of that, I realized, for example, you have the love language of gifts, and then you have the one of time.
Okay.
You could have 2 children, same house, born, even maybe twins. One of them responds to gifts, one responds to time.
Yes.
You may buy all the gifts in the world. The one who responds to gift will love you because for them every gift you buy means I love you.
Yes.
But the one who is time,
quality time,
all the gifts in the world is just trash.
Cannot make up.
All they want is stay with me.
Exactly, and listen to them.
Yeah, so a simple understanding of that and taking one small time for even a weekend drive somewhere within the city will make that one feel like you love them, while the other one's love box is already full because they've been getting your gift.
Okay. I'm sorry, and a question just came into my mind.
Okay.
I hear a lot of parents say when the kids become teenagers, they don't talk much, so they struggle to know what is in their mind. I mean, at 15, you're already nurturing these thoughts.
Yeah.
And obviously, you couldn't even gist with your parents or your father or your mom to say, okay, this is what I'm thinking about. Do you think, so why is it that a lot, I know the answer, but I think we need to tell them. Teenagers don't want to talk to their parents. That's what I keep hearing from parents.
I think there is the connection between parents, and there are very isolated instances where you see teenagers and their parents who have that connection. And it doesn't start at teenage years.
Okay. It starts
from when they're much younger.
Absolutely.
We grew up in an Africa where you don't even ask questions. I remember I had to ask my mom once when I was a kid growing up. When you ask questions, I say, shut up.
You talk
okay,
so
go
much.
and sleep. You are disturbing. And then the day you decide to go and sleep, they say, wake up. What kind of child is sleeping in the afternoon? And I'm like,
what will you do to please them? Exactly.
So you grow up, there's a lot of conflict. When you ask questions too much, you could get beat up for it. So you start very early to withdraw into your shell and go to or look for a safety net.
Okay.
Which unfortunately is the beginning of where mentoring starts from.
Absolutely.
So when you withdraw from your parents, who is the available adult around that you can talk to? This is also where we have the genesis of a lot of domestic issues that starts from the home.
True.
You're isolated from your parents, you look for the next available adult around. If you are unfortunate to now turn, and then who is there as a predator problem.
Okay.
So that for me is the it's not because you become a teenager you stop talking to them. It's the fact that you've been prepared to not talk to them
at all.
So adults are talking, my friend, get out of there. Then I remember I told my mom one day, from when we were 3, 4, we were in the room, adults were conversing, and they always said they don't know anything.
But you could hear them, and you understand.
I remember conversations that happened like that.
Wow.
So you as of that, each time you say they don't know anything, whether you like it or yes, you're telling me I'm stupid.
Exactly.
So I want to go to where I feel like I'm smart.
Yes, and people
That's
listen to you.
That's why I gravitate towards my friends.
Absolutely.
The bigger boy comes, and then suddenly we're building our own.
And they're even listening to you and telling you, okay, come and join us, we'll give you brotherhood, blah, blah, blah.
That kind of thing. So it's from the very beginning. Don't shut. Now, I have a 4-year-old in the house who, Jesus, he's too wise for his age. Sometimes he says some things, and in my head I'm like,
yeah. Did someone talk to him? Like, did someone whisper to his ears? I have a daughter, 4 years, same thing, and you'll be wondering, okay. And that's to tell us this generation is totally different from when we were growing up.
So what I try to do now is, every time I feel like shutting him down, I have to hold myself.
Exactly.
Because he's in your face asking you, tell him, okay, sit down there. Why do you want me to sit? In my head, I'm like, because I'm your... And I think to myself, and I'm like, because you are disturbing, you should sit and watch it. Like, okay. And then, so, but our time, you don't even ask twice.
Exactly.
Either slap,
even the look alone,
you
would
know,
sit.
just behave.
You know, when we come and tell that, just like you said, the TV was what formed those ideas and those things and blah, blah, blah. For me, do you think, I mean, sometimes I'm tired, I want my kids to just go and stay somewhere else, like, go and watch TV. But do you think that's the best? We are into content. Do we think we're giving them enough content? Even the cartoons.
My concern now is this now, and which is also why, I do what I do, and I encourage a lot more people to get in and do these things. We can't keep complaining of wrong or terrible content when we don't create the right content.
Absolutely.
Yes, I know it's challenging to create this, but we do not have a choice.
Sure.
If you want them to sit in front of a TV, you need to put something there. I was saying something, my 4-year-old, his vocabulary is insane, and I realized the chunk of that is from the adults that's always around him, and then the cartoons.
True.
A few days ago, he was talking with my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law was trying to tell him his date of birth, the numbers, and he was just waving his head. And my brother-in-law said, why? Why are you? I said, no. What is the matter? I said, I don't like numbers.
Whoa.
And he said, why don't you like numbers?
At 4.
At 4. He said, too many numbers gets me really dizzy.
Whoa, and that's a cartoon.
All of us in the house just paused. After we laughed, we were like, where could he have heard this? Now he's telling you at 4 that numbers make him dizzy. And immediately I threw in, I said, I hope this is not going to be the beginning of somebody else who hates mathematics.
I'm telling you.
No, but many of us, that's how we started.
True.
You don't like your math teacher, or how do you explain it?
Yeah.
Because you don't like the teacher, whatever he's giving, you are not receptive towards it.
You're already biased.
One bad teacher, another bad teacher. By the time you are 10, they say you are terrible at math.
True.
And it's the same with all of us.
It's a cycle, yeah.
I was from my primary school to secondary school days, I've always had good English teachers. And I remember one of my best was, by the time I was in GS3 to SS1, the guy took extra attention, making me write. At a point, I felt like punishment. He told me in SS1, I need you to write one story every day.
Every day. And that's a good mentor, because that's what this show is about. We are talking about the people that are surrounding
us. I got to a point where I realized my one story every day became like serial. Wow. I started making stories from my classmates. I was connecting, so every day. I didn't know how somebody stumbled one day and collected all of them. Wow. And my classmates began reading. But what encouraged me was, instead of laughing at me, the stories actually began to work. Now we say it was trending in school. People were now talking about
that's the genesis of what you're doing.
I'm telling you, that was where I realized I loved writing.
Yeah.
And for me, the painful part is till this day. Not long after I left SS1, that wonderful teacher left teaching, and he's working in a media house today and doing something. Every time I see him, I'm like, some kid somewhere
need you, absolutely. And because that's when you also got involved with the bad, so there's this us comparing.
If I had more of those kind of mentors, it would have been a different story altogether.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to also ask you to hold the words. We'll be right back. I'm sorry I'm cutting you off, but we'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. Don't also go nowhere. Don't change that down. We'll be right back. Thank you so much. Before you go, I need you to advise. Look into the camera and please advise our boys.
What I like to tell all our teenage boys out there is very simple. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Absolutely.
Your background can only keep your back on the ground with your approval. And I have learned in life that until you do what you know, you never really know how much you can do.
True.
So stop believing all the lies that you won't amount to this, or you need this person, or you need that organization to get this or get that. You may not even need that oil job you're thinking of, because there is already an idea on the inside of you that is bigger than all of that. Start looking into that. Your generation needs you more as a creator than just as a consumer.
This show is not just for the boys. I don't think it's even for the girls. You have learned one or two things, because I've seen, not heard. I've seen girls being caught. So you don't need it. You need to create. You need to, find yourself one. We've said too many things, so I don't even know how to recap. But the main thing, you need to find yourself. As a teenager, if you don't know where you are going to, you will end up anywhere that looks like destination. But you don't need that for your life. For yourself, you don't need that for yourself. You need to find who you are. Find yourself first before you even start doing anything. Until you do that, then you will start living. This life is too sweet. But You have to be able to tell yourself, I want to live the best life. For me, not for anybody. The life that you live, even you will be proud of yourself, your parents will be proud of you. I trust, like I said, this year is going to be an amazing year for you, but you have to start from doing the right things. Until we come your way next week, please be the best you can be. I'm still Auntie Chichi. Feel free to connect with me. Connect with us on social media. It's showing, scrolling down down. You can see the Instagram, the phone number. Feel free to reach me. I can coach you. I only coach superstars. Trust me. I'm a rock star team coach. So I'm not going to coach failures. I want to coach you. I sincerely want to coach you, but you will give me the opportunity to do that by calling, reaching out to me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Anyhow, you find it very easy. Until I come your way next time, I love you. Be the best you can be. Bye.